Hey, good morning, seventh graders. We are going to hopefully finish up your packet today, and then get ready to start learning some new stuff. So, I hope you're doing well out there, and get your packets out, and let's take a look at the final couple documents in your packet. So, this is the sheet you should be on right here. Branches of the federal government. We went over these a couple weeks ago. Legislative, executive, and judicial. Who makes up those branches? And the legislative, it's the Senate and the House. The executive, it's the president. Judicial branch is the Supreme Court. Which branch of the federal government includes the Supreme Court? You look right over here. Obviously, that is the judicial branch. So the first answer is judicial branch. What is the function of the legislative branch in government? So the legislative branch is the Senate and the House of Representatives. And if you remember, when we talked about it, we took a test on this, their job or their function or their duty is to create laws or make laws. So they write laws, they pass laws, they enact laws. You could also say that they make money, they declare war, they approve or deny presidential appointments. We talked about those things too. But their main function is to create bills, create laws. Finally, under the Constitution, what system is used to keep one branch of the federal government from gaining too much power? Do you remember what that was called? To keep the balance of our government? And the answer is checks and balances, right? Checks and balances, separation of powers, anything like that would get you full credit. Let's move on to the second document for today. Political parties of the 1790s. Um, Federalist parties, Democratic, Republican parties are the two first political parties that we talked about. Their political beliefs, their economic beliefs, their foreign affairs, their sources of strength. Give one example of how Federalists plan to encourage economic growth. Well, if you go down their economic, the Federalists here and all the different ideas that they had, you would find that they supported government aid to businesses. They, through finance and trade, they favored a national bank. They supported tariffs. You could write that down, protective tariffs. They favored British commercial ties, supported the interests of manufacturers, bankers, merchants. Anything like that would get you credit for that first question there. Second question. State one fact from the chart to support the argument that Democratic Republican Party encouraged more participation in government than the Federalist Party. So you're looking at this for question number two. Sports, they encourage more participation in government. They favored the selection of representatives by average citizens. You could write that. Favored a limited national government, supported the interests of farmers, artisans, skilled workers. Anything like that would get you credit for that question. And finally, the last question from this document, why do different groups form political parties? Well, that's not something you're going to get from the chart, but we talked about this. Um, and we talked about because they had different opinions, they had different viewpoints on a variety of issues to advance their agenda or the opinion of groups that they have in common. Um, Anything like that would get you credit. Why do you sit with your friends in the cafeteria? Remember talking about that. We sit with people who share interests with us. And that was the reason for different political groups, forming parties because they shared interests. All right, let's take a look at this map here. We have the expansion of the United States to 1803, and we got a big question mark on this big chunk of land out here that we just finished talking about the last time I taught. It seems like a long time ago when I had you guys in the classroom, but do you guys remember what major purchase this was right here? Good, yeah, Louisiana Purchase. You guys remember who we got it from? Excellent, we got it from France. We got it from Napoleon, even though at first maybe he didn't quite want to sell it to us. All right. Which nation controlled Florida in 1803? So find Florida down here. In fact, it even says Florida down here. In fact, it even says Spanish Florida down here. So, of course, who controlled Florida? That's correct. The Spanish did, or Spain did. How did the United States obtain the area shown on the map with the question mark? Well, here's the big question mark right here. We just talked about this as Louisiana Purchase, which means, yeah, we bought it. In fact, we bought it from who? We bought it from France. So that would answer that question. State two ways the land identified with the question mark benefited the United States. Do you remember why it was necessary to buy all of this? We wanted control of what river? Right, to control the Mississippi River. You might also mention what city down here. City of New Orleans became very important for us to control. So it also gave us more land, gave us more natural resources. People could get their own land, gave us more power, gave access to the interior of our country, made the United States richer, led to creation of more states, increased trade. All of those things would correctly answer that. And let's finish up. Why not? We'll finish up your packet today. Got a map of North America, 1803. So this is quite similar to the picture we just looked at, and all the different ways that we sort of acquired land and who controlled all this land in 1803, North America in 1803. Our key over here, unexplored, claimed by Russia, Britain, Spain, and the United States. So this dotted area out here was actually claimed by all those countries. The Spanish, they were here. The United States, original states right here. British territory, the British were here, and the Russians up here. Take a look. Russians were up here in Alaska up here. What name is given on the, what name of the map, what name of the area on the map that Thomas Jefferson acquired for the United States? That's what we just talked about. It's a speckled area right here. Louisiana Territory would correctly answer that. Louisiana Purchase, if you wanted to say it that way too. Number 5, identify one way the United States obtained land that had been claimed by Russia, Britain, and Spain. So claimed by Russia, Britain, and Spain. We haven't really talked about that yet. But you could say by buying it, by treaty, by force. We fought for it in the Spanish-American War, since cessation in the Spanish-American War. Any of those answers would work too. Name one state bordering the Gulf of Mexico that was eventually formed from land once owned by Spain. So the Spanish controlled these areas here. This is Texas over here, and they controlled this here, and this is Florida here. So you could say Florida, you could say Texas, but also portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and even parts of Louisiana. So any of those would work, to be honest. And guess what? That finishes up your packet. So hopefully these videos were helpful to you going over your answers. We are going to start pushing out some new information out to you guys now. I sent you some packets in an email last week. Those packets do not have to be printed, but we will use those packets to start reviewing new history. You still have to answer the questions in the packets, so if you want to put them on a separate sheet of paper, that would be fine. If you do have if you can print it, that's fine too. You can print them and answer them that way. It's up to you. I'll be leaving some copies of those packets at school as well. Vanessa, if you're watching this video, I will leave your packets at school as well with the Spanish translations. So I hope all you guys are doing well out there, and look for the next 2 packets. You don't have to worry about the search and discover sheets unless unless I do some more videos and I can work it in that way. We might do some videos with the PowerPoints so I can keep presenting new information. So please keep looking for these videos. I'm going to send also a packet that is similar to these kind of questions. They're stimulus-based questions. I do have some on some that I think will work for us that I've been putting together. So look for those too. I'll leave copies of those at school as well. So hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Mr. Merck is out.